What is going on, Ada Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central. My name is Fareed, and as a part of today's video, we're going to be chatting with the ZKFold team, which is going to be bringing zero-knowledge smart contracts and ZK rollups to the Cardano ecosystem. Now, representing the team is going to be Vlad or Vladimir, who I've had on the channel. I believe he's also working with the Endcoins team. But then, last but not least, we've also got Stanislav, who's going to be a member of the team as well. Vlad and Stanislav, good morning. How are you guys doing?
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, we are good. Thanks for having us here.
Yes, good morning. Good morning. I'm excited to have you guys here on the channel. You guys popped up on my feed not too long ago. I saw you guys had recently joined the Genius X Accelerator program, which is one of the projects that I cover here quite frequently on the channel. So the fact that you guys are bringing ZK rollups or zero knowledge rollups, right, is going to be a first, I believe, within the Cardano space. So let's talk a little bit about that. But before we jump into that, I just want to give the viewers a brief highlight of everything that we're going to be chatting about. So first things first, I think we need to get a better understanding or an explanation of what ZK rollups are and their potential impacts to the Cardano network. And then I want to jump into some of the key benefits when it comes to ZKFold specifically. Now, after that, I want to touch on potential real world use cases, as well as what we can expect with the first implementation or the initial launch of ZKFold. Now, after that, I want to talk about potential integrations or maybe any projects you guys have been chatting with respect to utilizing ZKFold. And then last but not least, I want to get your key takeaways as well as what your future vision could be for the ZKFold project. So that said, let's go ahead and kick things off with an introduction. I'll turn it over to either of you. But do you guys mind providing a brief overview of what ZKFold is and what its mission is when it comes to Cardano?
Yeah, I can take this one. So I think it makes sense to provide some history or some background of the ZKFold team. So basically, ZKFold was born last year during the Cardano summit in Lausanne in Switzerland, where we met with Vladimir, the founder of the ZKFold team. So a few months later, Vladimir decided to assemble a strong team and to start building zero-knowledge rollups on Cardano. And the answering your question, so the main idea of the project is to create layer 1 and layer 2 scalability tools and infrastructure on Cardano. So as the next step, we wanted to prove the team is capable to build this ambitious plan or project, and we won a Murgo hackathon this year. So finally, that provided us with the fact that the community needs these kind of solutions on Cardano blockchain. As the next step, we built a roadmap how to achieve this goal, and we are currently progressing quite well, step by step. As you know, probably the first demo of our product was released just a few days ago. For non-technical people, that's explanation of the demo product is that's a tool for developers which they can use to create more complex smart contracts with reduced fees and increased throughput. So technically speaking, developers can pack more data into one transaction. And we believe that will expand the functionality of Cardano blockchain, and we will see more and more projects on Cardano using our product.
Thank you for the introduction, Stanislav, when it comes to what ZKFold is, generally speaking. Two of the biggest things that you just mentioned there are going to be reduced fees and increased throughput. I'm not sure that I can find a single person within the Cardano ecosystem that would be opposed to having both of those benefits coming online, basically simplifying all of future development on the Cardano blockchain and making the blockchain look that much more appetizing to developers looking to develop a product. And so I am fully behind what you guys are building, but I want to maybe just get a better idea as to what ZK rollups are and potentially how they're different on Cardano. So I'm aware of what is called a ZK snark as well as an optimistic rollup. Do you guys maybe mind explaining the difference between the two and then which approach, if any, right, ZKFold is more closer to?
Yeah, sure, I can take this. So optimistic rollup assume that most transactions are correct, so that I mean they are not posted by malicious party, and so you basically you can do many transactions very fast on the layer 2 solution, but then when you need to withdraw funds to layer 1, then you have to spend some time, and while other people can challenge your claim to the funds. And yeah, so there is a generally a long process of withdrawing funds from layer 2 when we are talking about optimistic rollups. In zk-rollups, it's a different story. Every transaction is proved on chain on layer 1, but the data is usually posted on layer 2. So this is how you can achieve really big throughput with low fees. But on Cardano, what we are starting with is kind of a hybrid solution where we are still posting the data on layer 1, but we are reducing the amount of data that the smart contract needs. So basically, what you end up with is a transaction that mostly consists of inputs and outputs and a little bit of additional data for smart contracts. And you can execute very complex smart contracts, but still most of the data is just inputs and outputs of the transaction. So this gives you a significant boost to both throughput and reduction of fees.
Thanks for that awesome comparison and explanation there, Vlad. One thing that you mentioned, and that was going to actually be one of my follow-up questions, was going to be how things are settled between layer 1 and layer 2, given the fact that right now Cardano is so early that we don't have all of the layer 2 infrastructure, for example, like Ethereum and ERC20 compatible networks have. Now, let's jump into today's main focus, which is the fact that you guys have now joined the Genius X Accelerator program. Do you guys maybe mind explaining, the importance of joining the accelerator program? I know that they provide services, for example, guidance when it comes to, operations, regulations. They also provide guidance when it comes to token launches and token sales. What are you guys looking to really get out of this partnership with Genius X and all of the services that they provide within their accelerator ecosystem?
So as you know, the zero knowledge rollups on Cardano, that's a very ambitious and extremely difficult project itself. So from the technical perspective and so on. And by partnering with Genius X, who are the very experienced team of professionals, we expect to solve some of our issues with their help. For example, they would be our mentors, they would be our advisors at certain point of the project, to make sure we accelerate our project to the best way, meaning that we could potentially avoid wasting time on something which is not necessary. And at the same time, we would like to hear the voice of Cardano community, what kind of features they would like to see in our project in the future, how do they think our product can help them. And that's all of the things we will get from Genius X team.
I appreciate that quick answer there. Now, let's jump into the actual article that was released by the Genius team announcing your collaboration, partnership, and onboarding into their accelerator. So, that article breaks down, I believe, 4 key features that I want to discuss here for people that may be watching this that may not necessarily be as technical as the both of you. Again, I think ZK rollups, just in general, are somewhat of a new concept, especially for people that aren't technical to wrap their heads around. So let's take this piece by piece. Number one, when it comes to ZKFold, which you guys are going to be releasing your wrapper feature, it states that there's going to be no script length limit. Do either one of you mind explaining exactly what that means and what it's referring to when talking about script limits?
Yeah, sure. As you might know, there is a limit on the transaction size on Cardano. It's currently 16 kilobytes, a little bit more, but basically that's how much data you can pack at most in a single transaction. And so after the Vasil hard fork, what you can do is you can put a script on chain for future use, basically. And this is called reference scripts. So you can put a script on chain in one transaction and then in another transaction refer to it. But still you have the limit of 16 kilobytes. So, I mean, most programs, currently, of course, every script fits into these limits, but you could imagine like a more difficult programs, more complex programs that would require more space to put them on chain. So the way it is done in our products is that you don't actually need to post the script data on chain, and as a result, not only are you not limited by this 16 kilobyte limit, but you can also imagine a situation where you want your script to be private, so that only either developers or maybe the users of the script know what it actually verifies. So it could be useful in some application too.
Okay, let's move into the second key feature. Maybe I'll turn this one over to Stanislav, right? But this states no CEK execution budget limit. The ZKFold wrapper takes smart contract verification off chain, leveraging Cardano's transaction determinism. The wrapper script solely verifies the proof of execution, ensuring it remains within its set limits. Again, Stanislav or Vlad, do either one of you, kind of mind breaking this down in simple terms for people that aren't too technical to understand?
Yeah, I think this is like one of the key and most exciting features is that probably many developers encounter a situation where like they make a complex script and it's just takes too much resources. So on Cardano, scripts are limited by two resources, the memory and the CPU. Basically, you have a certain amount of each resource for your script execution and in general for your transaction execution. And you should be able to fit into those limits. And this could be really frustrating in some situations. Like, we will probably talk about it later, but one of the applications that require a lot of computational power is, for example, on-chain voting verification. And this is like a good example of a problem which is very hard to solve just with the regular scripts that we have right now, but it becomes much easier when you can use ZK technology.
Thank you. Moving on to feature number 3, no redeemer size limit and no datum size limit. So this almost echoes, I believe, what we talked about, the no script length limit, really removing some of the hurdles when it comes to limitations, again, specific to the Cardano network. So again, I'll turn it over to either one of you, maybe touch on that, and then we'll jump into that very last point surrounding private smart contracts.
Yeah. So again, the goal is to reduce the size of the transaction as much as possible to fit as many inputs and outputs into a single transaction as much as possible, because those inputs and outputs are the actual useful data and value being sent from one party to another, and the rest is just auxiliary data that we need to do all the checks and verifications that we need for smart contract transactions. So we can, using again our approach with ZK proofs, we can dramatically reduce the amount that is taken by datums and redeemers that are used in transactions. So redeemers are inputs to Pluto scripts, and again, it's kind of similar situation as with Pluto scripts. We do not need to post them on chain. We only need to post to add their hashes to the transaction. Yeah, it's using zero knowledge proofs. We can still verify that we have all the information, but we are just not posting it to the blockchain.
Thank you for that. Again, I think what I keep hearing as a recurring theme is the fact that because a lot of this stuff can be done off chain, that therefore prevents a lot of the heavy lifting that actually used to be done on chain from having to be done there. So you just touched on this last point, which I believe is going to be private smart contracts. So I believe this is one of your key features that you mentioned here earlier. Because these scripts are not submitted on chain, right? They can then or therefore be private. Now, we're in an environment where a lot of people like to see things in the open and they like to see things on chain. Do you mind explaining how private smart contracts is still somewhat beneficial in a space like this right now, where people are asking for transparency and decentralization?
Yeah, sure. First of all, you are not forced to withhold the data. It's possible to add all the information that you would put on the blockchain anyway if you are not using the ZK smart contracts. But in order to reduce the transaction fees and to increase throughput, you might want to post this data somewhere else. For example, in many cases, it is not needed to be present on the blockchain itself, but it could be put, for example, on IPFS or like Filecoin or some other similar service. And people will still be able to check everything the same way as they do now. But also for like privacy use cases, you could imagine situations where you do not want to reveal like the actual smart contract logic. I mean, this is kind of the thing that where our solution kind of have an intersection with what Midnight is doing, because it's their idea is also about to that you have maybe some confidential data, or you may have you don't want to disclose some kind of relationship between parties, like maybe some private sale or like private sharing of some data. So in this kind of situations, our solution can also be used.
Thank you for the intro, the explanation there, Vlad. One thing that really stood out to me there was your mention about potential use cases with Midnight, which obviously that's been getting a lot of attention within the Cardano ecosystem, and how Cardano itself could also play a part in helping out, the actual Midnight network. Now, what's interesting with the private um, smart contracts is that you're actually working on another project which is also related to privacy, right, which is endcoins. So I can almost even see some sort of relationship between that as well. And so again, really cool to hear that when it comes to privacy, that this is not an aspect that has been forgotten or put to the side when it comes to Cardano, and especially with ZKFold. Now let's switch gears here and jump into some real world use cases and real world applications. Do either one of you mind touching on what types of projects would get the most benefit out of something like ZKFold? I know, Vlad, you just mentioned there earlier, voting can be very tricky, and therefore utilizing zk-rollups could be a benefit. But what about DEXs? What about DeFi protocols? What about oracles? What about all of these other pieces of infrastructure and all these other types of projects building on the network?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think they are like very important for us. We are communicating with different projects and taking in their suggestions and their requirements. And yeah, so I think for projects like DEXs, like oracles, like lending and borrowing protocols and other DeFi protocols, they have a lot of transactions going on, and potentially I think they could have much more. And I mean, we will probably see it with the release of new DEXs like Genius Yield and AXO. Probably the number of transactions will surge. But yeah, I think there is, if we can reduce fees for this kind of transactions, right, then there is potential for people to transact much more, because the fees, they are not maybe prohibitive right now, but I mean, we are maybe entering the bull market, so maybe with the price of ADA going up, the fees could also go up. And if you compare it to the fees on some other layer 2s, for example, then I mean, Cardano is competitive, but there is room for reducing fees.
Yeah, I think there's always room for reducing fees, right? That's an aspect that I don't think, again, anyone will ever complain about. Now, I want to maybe turn this over to Stanislav. He's been a little bit quiet over there. You guys had mentioned that you guys had kicked off an initial MVP, or at least something that the community was able to see and utilize, right? Do you mind touching on when we could potentially see ZKFold being implemented on Testnet, Mainnet, and if there's any timelines that you can share associated with that?
So as I mentioned, and the project is quite difficult, and we have a roadmap which consists of 3 products right now. And the demo of the first product has been released a few days ago. So we expect it will take us, I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, Vladimir, another 6 to 9 months to have ZKFold wrapper online, meaning that most likely it will be on the mainnet. And after that, we will have to spend a couple of months, I would say 9 to 12 months, to release the first version of the ZKFold, the main product, on a testnet.
I appreciate that answer. Now, one thing sticks out to me there. If it takes that amount of time, I'm wondering, have you guys maybe already picked projects that you guys can work with to implement ZKFold, or are we at a too early of a stage for you guys to actually be able to commit to working with certain projects or certain products?
Yeah, as Vladimir mentioned, we are currently dealing with a few Cardano projects to get their feedback and requirements, and we really appreciate their time. So for those who would like to start learning more about ZKFold, how our products can help their projects, please feel free to contact us by email, info@zkfold.io, and we would really be happy to get in touch with you.
Thank you for that. Now, I want to pose to both of you one last question as we close out today's interview, and that's going to be surrounding your future vision, your key takeaways, and just your future plans with ZKFold. So maybe we'll turn it back over to you, Vlad, to answer this one first, and then we'll close out with you, Stanislav.
Yeah, sure. First of all, our short-term plans. So I have to make a small correction. We have not yet released the demo yet. It is coming during the summit. People will be able to play around with it next week, and then our plan will be to continue to work on ZKFold Symbolic, our first product, for maybe 2, 3, 4 months more until we can release the first proper version, and then we will move next to the other 2 products that we mentioned.
Over to you, Stanislav.
Yeah, short plan is to pitch our project at the Cardano Summit. Most likely, you know that ZKFold team has been selected among top 10 finalists to present our project in Dubai. And as Vladimir mentioned, all guys, if you are in Dubai next week, please feel free to come to us to see the demo of the first product, which will be available online as well. And also, I could suggest to follow us on X, Twitter, and LinkedIn to see the progress and not to miss any important updates.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got Stanislav and Vladimir representing the official ZKFold team, bringing zero knowledge smart contracts and zk-rollups over to Cardano, reducing the fees on the network as well as increasing throughputs. Key developments here for developers. Now, I will definitely be in person in Dubai. I look forward to potentially meeting the both of you if you guys are going to be there actually doing a demo. And it would be nice to not only shake your hands, but maybe just catch up very briefly to actually get a chat after you guys' presentation. I know you guys have probably been working all around the clock to make sure everything is ready to go. And again, I want to congratulate you guys and just wish you guys the best of luck when it comes to that. For you, the viewer watching at home, if you guys want to find out more about what the ZKFold team is building and bringing to Cardano, feel free to head over to their official website, which is available at zkfold.io. That said, if you guys did appreciate today's chat with Vlad and Stan, please make sure to tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, consider subscribing for more content just like this. And last but not least, if you have any questions surrounding Genius X or ZKFold, then please make sure to go ahead and leave those down below in the comment section. That said, we'll catch you guys in the next video.